Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Nsukka and I am the head of communication, marketing and communications at the Elumelu Foundation. I am so excited to be hosting this Impact Series today because this is our first and we are so excited to be having Kasarachi Innocent. Innocent is an exceptional young man. He's going to be speaking to us on resilience and entrepreneurship. Before I invite Kasarachi to join us, I would like to speak on what we do at the Elumelu Foundation. The Elumelu Foundation is a leading champion of entrepreneurship in Africa. Our objective, like some of you know, is to empower women and men across our continent, catalyzing economic growth, driving poverty eradication, and ensuring job creation. Founded by African investor, philanthropist, my boss, Tony O. Elumelu in 2010. Our mission is implemented through our programs, research, communities, advocacy, and convenience, including the annual Tony Elumelu Foundation Forum, which happens once a year. The largest gathering of entrepreneurs in Africa, the Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Forum holds once a year, and we have the TEF Connect, Africa's digital hub for entrepreneurs. I am excited about this because a lot of people are going to get to inspire today. While self-funded, the foundation is increasingly carrying out partnership interventions with leading international institutions such as the EU, the UNDP, and the Red Cross. This permits increased impact and the need to work with external stakeholders in relation to impact measurement. This is the favorite quote from Kasarachi Innocent, which says, never allow your background to keep your back on the ground. And this relates to different occurrences in life. It's up to you to decide that regardless of whatever you go through as an entrepreneur, you wouldn't stay down. They're going to challenge you back, forth, up, left, right, center. But, bouncing back up is what resilience is all about. Kasarachi will be speaking to this soon. He is someone that describes himself as a peculiar creature of the gospel, first of all. And then he is a trained communicator, a broadcaster, teacher, and motivational speaker. Kasarachi is the founder of StandingTall Foundation, a foundation that caters to the academic needs of the challenged and less privileged students and maintains outreaches to Nigerian prisons. Kasarachi is all about impact. And you can tell from how he functions as a human being by giving back. He currently runs a publishing outfit, which is called StandingTall Books. He also is into creative writing and he organizes public speaking seminars to give back to people and budding writers and speakers. Kasarachi, who has been a teacher all his life, if he comes on right now, you're going to tell that Kasarachi has been speaking for a while. And, he is currently a full-time academic staff at the University of Harcourt in Nigeria. Kasarachi is also the producer, presenter of StandingTall on radio, a motivational program which airs on Family Love 97.7 FM for Harcourt on Wednesdays by 8:15 a.m. Kasarachi speaks at schools and skills empowerment seminars. He has mentored and he continues to mentor countless of youth across the continent. I am pleased to welcome Kasarachi, who will be speaking today about resilience in entrepreneurship. Kasarachi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Thank God for today. I'm very, very fine. I'm doing well, and I'm very, very excited to be here with you today.
Fantastic. I was just speaking to what you do across the continent. I am pleased to welcome Kasarachi. Can you hear me today?
Yes.
About resilience in entrepreneurship? Kasarachi. fantastic. I will just speak to what you do. Hi, Kasarachi. Can you hear me?
I hear you now, but what you said was playing at the background.
It's playing in the background, yeah?
What you said before.
Okay, give me a minute. Hi, Kasarachi. Sorry about that. Can you hear me perfectly now?
I hear you now.
Awesome. So we'll just go right into it. I'm very excited on behalf of the foundation to be speaking to you. I would say that you're a phenomenal young man, and we at the foundation and by extension, we are very proud of the work that you do and actually very inspired by your story. So in your words, I have read your bio and I've given an overview of what you do. But in your words, who is Kasarachi Innocent?
Well, first of all, let me thank you and the foundation and especially Mr. Tony Elumelu for this opportunity to feature on this program for entrepreneurs and other members of our beloved continent, Africa, and the world at large. My name is Kasarachi Innocent, and I was born some 40-something years ago. And at the age of 3, I lost the use of my right leg to polio as a result of so many factors, poverty and lack of education and the rest of them. And from the age of 3, I was creeping on the ground for the next 7 years. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to anywhere until I was about 9 to 10. I was actually a beggar in the village, and everybody knew me. And then at the age of 9, I went to school when even my mates were already 3 years, my age mates were already 3 years ahead of me. But I went to school and I was rejected at the point of registration, by the headmaster, who said to my father, because I couldn't walk, I was crawling on the ground. So he rejected me being registered and said to my father, he should take me back home so that he could send me to go learn how to repair and mend things. But I just asked the man a very simple question, and I said to him, is there anything I can do so that you could register me? And he said to me, go back and walk. If you can walk, I'll register you. And in his mind, he felt I couldn't walk. But I went back home and I told myself, I could stand in front of my father's house and see my mates going to school, every day. And I desired to go. And I felt that even though I was crippled, I had something. If my leg is not working, there is something that could work. And so I went back to school when my mates were already ahead of me, but I ended up, graduating together with them from primary school. And then I went to Government College Umuahia and went through a whole lot, being in a boarding school, nobody to help me, do things. I suffered, I went through a whole lot. But my mind was always on the fact that I knew I could survive, even though, I wasn't physically fit. My mind kept telling me I could survive, and I was ready to put up with all kinds of mockery and hardship to be able to go through. And then from secondary school, I went to the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I lost my dad in my year 1, second semester year 1, and things were tough. I had to, put up what we call squatting. I had to put up with some classmates, and there was no money for school fees, no food to eat. One of my lecturers, Dr. Edith Ohaja, had to cook for me to eat in the day. But I left the University of Nigeria, Nsukka with a first class. And then from there, I went on to, do my master's and then get a PhD. And then I got to my highest, dream in life, to be a teacher and to influence people. And then I decided that one thing I want to be remembered for, one thing I want to do is to make people to shun the culture of excuses. There are people who would always give you excuses and excuses. So I decided that I want my life, to be a motivation to let people know that whatever you have gone through, whatever you've lost, there is always a remnant. There's something you can always do, for yourself out of life. So Kasarachi is that young man who has, from the age of 3, been exposed to bitterness, pain, shame, loneliness, abandonment, and who has refused to give up at every point in time. I would always look at doors that are locked. Some doors could be locked, but I would always look for a door that is open. And no matter how little my strength is, I would always want to plug into that strength and then go on. I am that young man who has been disappointed severally in terms of job, who has been rejected severally, who will always believe that as long as you don't stay on the ground, you can always excel. Because in the journey of life, falling down is compulsory, but getting up is an option. So I am not that young man who does not think that I have come to the end. I would always look for a way to come back. So that's Kasarachi Innocent in short.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Very inspiring. You talked about rejection. You talked about death. When you spoke about the death of your father, I asked myself how you were able to pull yourself out of the grief of losing someone so close to you. It's easy to say, "Oh, don't stay down, get up, do this, do that." But what would you say is one thing that where do you draw your strength from when you were in this low place? You said you keyed into your strength, and where exactly did that strength come from? Because there has to be a source.
Okay, first of all, I don't know those who are watching what they believe, but I believe in God. So my very first strength is from God, because I believe so much that there is nobody that God created and asked him to go and suffer. No, I don't believe that. I don't also believe that God chooses who he will love and who he would not love. So I believe so much that however I am, God loves me that way. So I felt that if God has created me, then he has a purpose, he has a function for me in this generation, and I cannot afford to fail him. So my first strength was from God, who accepted me and keeps accepting me the way I am. Now, my second strength came from my late dad. When I had the problem of my leg and I was crawling on the ground, my dad used to carry me on his shoulders. Whenever we're going out for occasions, my dad will carry me on his shoulders. And then whenever we wouldn't go out, he would stay with me at home, to encourage me. And he kept telling me, he kept creating ideas in my head. He kept telling me, don't worry, you're going to be a great guy. Don't worry, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. So when I lost my dad, I felt that I needed to bring those dreams, to come to pass. And then the third factor was that I had a family that loved me. My mom is exceptional, having to cope with me, not working for years, and they would mock her in the marketplace and all that. And I have a family that also loves me. I would always run back to them. And then the fourth factor is that I have a policy, and that policy is this. I believe that the greatest revenge, you will have on people who mock you, the greatest revenge you will have on circumstances, the greatest revenge you will have on hindrances is to excel massively. The greatest revenge to failure, to hindrances, to pain is massive success. Of course, for me, I don't even believe that failure is the opposite of success. No, I don't believe that. I simply believe that failure is part of success, okay? So you can't succeed until you have failed. So I believe I wanted to prove a point to those who felt I was nobody, I couldn't become anything. And then the last thing that I drew my strength from was from when I look at people, when I look at young people, when I look at mature people, and I look at them moving around in their life, and I ask myself a question. Is there anything I can do, to make these people believe in themselves? Because I believe that a well-lived life is a life you live for others. You live to move others. So when I want to give up, I will look at people and I'll say, what if I succeed and these people see me, physically challenged? Won't they draw strength from me? So I have this belief that there are people who look up to me. There are people who are looking for somebody to hold them up. So I told myself, so if I give up, my potentials are wasted. My father's dream is gone. My family dream is gone. And then those who think I shouldn't do well, who feel like I'm disqualified, will have their last laugh on me. And then generations to come would have lost a symbol of encouragement. So people around me have always been the reason, apart from God, people around me have always been the reason why I will always draw. And let me say this to you, Ma. As I'm talking right now, it sounds beautiful, right? But there were times growing up where I thought about committing suicide. There were times growing up where I went, before I would get to the dining hall to take food, they have finished eating, and I go hungry, and I was sad. I felt so lonely and abandoned. When we come out to play during break, the teachers, I would see young people, playing football, running around, and I couldn't. And when I go close, they say, no, you don't come here, your stick will wound us. I would always stay aside. So I would always want to say, I want to bounce back and prove a point to these people that even though I'm physically challenged, I am not different from who they are. Life is not about speed, it's about focus on where you are going. So these are just the factors, that have kept me going over life.
Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Very interesting to hear. He spoke about, getting to the dining hall and then there's no food left. I'm like, that can be very demoralizing, pulling all your friends together and then getting there to nothing. Okay, everything that you're about really speaks to the word resilience, because I think it's something we do on a daily basis. But just for the benefit of those that are watching, how would you define resilience? What would you say resilience is to you?
Okay, for me, the definitions of words are not found in the dictionary. That's what I believe. The dictionary is not the definition. It doesn't contain the appropriate definition of words. For me, the right definition of words come from your mind, your heart, the way you look at it. For me, resilience, for a start, is the ability to be elastic, right? You'll be stretched, okay? The ability to withstand being stretched, the ability to, make mistakes and refuse to give in, the ability to fall several times, bounce right back, the ability to get to the end of the road and you see the door firmly locked on your face, but you still feel that there's a door somewhere, okay? The ability to look for solutions and not excuses. For me, resilience is the ability to build a cathedral from the rubble of a house that has collapsed. You build up a business, you build up a relationship, you build up a career, and all of a sudden it's all gone down. And then you pick the pieces of what has gone down and erect a bigger cathedral than what has been destroyed. For me, that is resilience. The ability to use the leftover of what is not, something that is already something you can give up on, you put it together. The ability not to cry, the ability to dance despite the situations, the ability to believe that there must be a way out. For me, that is resilience. But that might not be what the dictionary says, but that's what I believe resilience to be for me.
Before words are added to the dictionary, it comes from someone. So you never know. You never know. So thank you for that. We will just go on to the creation of StandingTall. I feel like that name is heavy. It's heavy. Coming from when you try to get admission and they're like, you have to go and work or something, and then you came and you did everything, you achieved everything you achieved, and you're like, I'm going to call my foundation, my business StandingTall. That's powerful. How did we get to the point of StandingTall?
All right. I actually, that name is symbolic, because you look at me, a man who can hardly stand, and then my brand is StandingTall. A man who could hardly hold himself, and then my brand is StandingTall. I have a reason for choosing that. The first reason is because when men stand, they first of all stand from their mind. And if they can stand from their mind, then they can stand physically. Now, when I left the University of Nigeria Nsukka with the first class, for 2 years, I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job at all. And I would go for interviews. I mean, funny enough, they would advertise, I would apply, I would write the test, I would pass. And one funny thing, each time I make an application, they would just see the first class, they will invite me. And then I would appear, I will write, the test and all that. And once I appear, you see them from the gate, they'll ask me, what are you looking for? Who invited you here? Okay. And then I'll say, I was invited. That's okay. Later, I will show them. I'll do everything, do the test, pass, do the interviews. And then at the end of the day, they will just call me into the office and say, well, we would have taken you, but because of your leg, we won't take you. I had that experience from so many government organizations in Nigeria, parastatals, banks, mentioned them, schools. In fact, a particular school asked me, you want to teach, you apply to teach as a teacher. And so they asked me, would you stand or would you sit? How would you stay to teach? So for them, it wasn't about what I got, but they felt I couldn't stand. Now, how did standing tall come? Sometimes I will be in a vehicle, maybe in a bus or a taxi, and right there at the traffic light, you'll see beggars, okay, with their hands withered, who are visually impaired and all that, you know, and then they will come, those of them who have a problem with their hand, they will just come and show you their hand on the window of the car, you know, and then that disability now has become a ticket to begging, a ticket to dependency. So they felt, oh, they've been given all the reason to be dependent on people. They have a ticket, they have a flag, they have a certificate to begging. So each time I would see them inside the taxi, I would ask myself, the fact that a person has any kind of physical challenge, and let me say this to all the viewers, you might be looking at the person who has a physical challenge, but the truth is this: everybody has a challenge. People have financial challenge, mental challenge, psychological challenge, all kinds of challenge. But the point I wanted to make was, if somebody has a problem with his hand, does it now disable every part of his body? That's the question. You have a problem with your hand, but your eyes are working, your ears are working, your legs are functional, your mouth is functional. You have a problem with your eyes. What about the other parts of the body? So that was what actually gave me, you know, that thing, that name, standing tall, meaning whatever you have gone through in life, if you believe in your heart that you can stand, then you can stand. Standing Tall is a brand. I have a radio program, I have a publishing firm, I have a foundation, I have outreaches. Everything boils down to Standing Tall, which in summary is very simple. You might have lost something, but you can still stand. You may have lost investments, but you can still stand. You may have lost relationships, but you can still stand. You may have a problem with your health, but you can still stand. As long as you believe, even if you're sitting on the ground, you've lost your legs and all that, but inside your heart, you can still stand. And once you believe that you can stand, and not just stand, but stand tall, then whatever has, hindered you will become an added motivation to stand tall. In summary, everybody can stand in life, no matter the incapacitations or the shortcomings you may have. So Kasarachi Innocent, he can hardly stand, but his brand is Standing Tall. That's it about Standing Tall.
Thank you so much. I like that last statement. You can hardly stand, but Standing Tall. And at the end of it, everything begins in your mind. If you can stand in your mind, you can definitely stand physically. Definitely. When you were speaking, you spoke to, rebels and, people that have lost things. And, what we do here at the foundation is very important, especially to the upliftment of entrepreneurs across the 64 African countries. And we're still in a pandemic, hopefully coming out of it. A lot of entrepreneurs have been through it. Loss, disappointment, points where they feel like they cannot go on as a human being. Why am I here? And you have been there before. Where do I start from?
That's right.
People have given up, but most people, I would like to believe, have persevered, because we just recently closed out our application drive for the entrepreneurship program, where we, people register for $5,000 grant. And we got a lot of registration. So I believe that, a lot of entrepreneurs still have hope. That regardless of, the lockdown and the losses, there's still hope. There's still hope, because the future, there's still hope, definitely. And I'm very big on being optimistic. I would like you to speak to your publishing firm. First, because you are an entrepreneur, and stories that easily digested if they are relatable.
Yes. All right.
So how, from your experience, how have you been able to keep your head above water regardless of the pandemic?
Okay.
Share with us. Thank you.
All right. First of all, I want to say this, that the best thing anybody can be on earth is an entrepreneur. And there's nobody that cannot do business. Of course, life itself is even a business. God himself is a businessman. That's why if you read through the holy books, I have read the Bible, I've also read the Quran. You discover that you have this teaching, this chain of sowing and reaping, sowing and reaping, sowing and reaping. So it simply means that the holy books believe that life is a business, okay? And that you would need to plant, before you can reap. Let me just go a little back concerning how I went into publishing as a businessman. Now, when I left school, I was going around to churches, pastor friends, and then I would ask them, can I help you edit your books? Can I help you correct the books you're writing? And some of them would look at me and say, what do you want to correct? In fact, the first that I had a breakthrough was when I met a colleague, a pastor's wife, and I told her, she said, my husband is doing a book. And I said, can I read through it for free? Let me read for free. And then she said, okay, I'm going to talk to my husband. And so she went to talk to the husband, and then the husband asked her to invite me. So I went there, and the man just took a look at me and said, you said you want to correct the book? I said, yes. He said, but some other people have done it. What do you think you can do? And I said, don't worry, sir. Let me just look at it. He said, no, there's no problem. I said, let me still look at it, whatever it is. Let me look at it. So he said, okay. So he gave me the book. And then I went back and went through this book. And I discovered nothing less than 200 to 250 errors in the same book that was ready to go for printing. And then I even discovered that a particular chapter had some missing parts, pages that nobody, saw. So I gave the manuscript after I corrected it to the woman, to the pastor's wife. She took it back to her husband, and the husband took a look at it and said, what nonsense is this? Call him. So they called me. So I got there. And fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know which one now to say, the man who had already edited the book was sitting there. The man just immediately saw me, said, young man, they said you said there are mistakes in the book. I said, yes, sir. And then he said, which mistakes? Where are you coming from? And I said, okay, can we just sit down? Let's go through. So we went through. And when I pointed out each mistake, the man would say, wow, what was I thinking? I pointed out one mistake, the man said, wow, the young man is correct. And we went on and on and on and on. And then at the end of the day, the pastor thanked me and took my number. And then in a week's time, I got a call from another pastor who said, my pastor gave me this. I want you to look at my book. And that was how I began to, edit for people and make money, so much money. Today, I'm an editorial consultant. But how did it all begin? I didn't have a printing press at that time. So what I did was I was doing what we call errand business. Errand business. What is errand business? I would have an agreement, a contract with the authors, and I would say to them, I'm going to edit for you. This is what you pay. And after editing, they would say, can you help us publish? Help us take it to since you are already in the business. Then I had contracts too with some printing presses. And I'll say to them, when I bring this job for you, you will give me 10%. And then I'll say to the authors, if I'm going to publish you, you're going to give me 10% of the publishing cost. So I will get a commission from the author, and I'll get a commission from the printing press. And so I was getting commissions both ways. So that was how I started. Now, how have I been surviving over the pandemic? Honestly, it's not been funny at all. Business was very much hit, with the lockdown, and then the cost of foreign exchange and the rates and the rest of them. But look at what I did. Because what I believe in life is that whether you like it or not, life is changing every day. There's an idiom that says a man does not enter the same river twice. It's either the man has changed or the river has changed. So you cannot expect to be doing business the same way you did it pre-pandemic. Now, when you have post-pandemic, you have to find ways, to be able to adapt and modify your business. Number one, what did I do? Number one, as the pandemic kicked in, I began to look at online publishing. You go online, you do your stuff there. You wouldn't wait for people now to come bring their stuff to you. Right now, as I speak to you, I edit for several businesses and organizations. During the lockdown, they couldn't come out to give me their work, but they could send their work to me online. So I got to become adept at WhatsApp. I could edit and discuss my editorial comments with them over there. And then I began to also look at networking. Okay, so I began to look at some of my colleagues who are also in the business, so that anytime I don't have a printing job, I could get an editing job. Because there's something I believe in. No matter how rich you are as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, as a staff, as a worker somewhere, if all your income is coming from one source, then you're not rich. Because if anything happens to that source, you are finished. So I began to diversify, into printing, from printing to editing, to giving seminars online, to looking out to training staff, on writing. I decided to look at, writing now, doing online teachings on writing. How do you write? Because some people want to write, but they don't know where to start from. So I began to do that too. Again, I also went into teaching about research online. How do you get materials for your writing? And then the most important thing, the economy is really tough right now. So I keep at the back of my mind that I'm not going to go down, because there's something I believe. When the sun shines, the darkness will come, the sun will shine again. For you to go from the top of one mountain to another top, you must come down. You don't fly from the top of one mountain to the top of another mountain. So you've been on a mountain as a businessman before the pandemic. You're down right now because of the effect of the pandemic. That simply means you're going to climb to another top of another mountain. So diversification, adaptation, modification, and most importantly, the people who will advertise you are people who do business with you. So you need to cultivate a data bank of your contacts and reach out to them, not only when you want a job, but even when you don't want a job. So you position yourself, brand, you create a niche for your business. Anytime they think about a publisher, the first name that comes to their mind is you, because you talked to them yesterday, you chatted them up, you asked them how they are doing, okay? You go beyond the formal business relationship to some interpersonal relationships that will keep you at their subconscious, that anytime they need somebody in that area, it's you. So you don't wait now and make it all strictly business relationships. You go beyond it, and then you diversify, because I believe that when two sources of water run together into a bucket, the bucket will fill up faster. So that's just what I've been doing during this time of the pandemic.
Thank you so much, Kasarachi. I'll bring you back to the data bank. To the data bank. I'm very big on relationships and networking. Yes. I want to speak to that in terms of how an entrepreneur who is going through the valley phase can connect with someone who is on the mountain phase.
Sure. Okay.
To get some help to move from the valley to the mountain. How do we, again, if you're not, I won't say you're not in the mood, if you are not really, if you're discouraged and life has hit you and things have happened, the last thing that you're really thinking of is to ask someone else how they are doing.
You're right.
So what would you say an entrepreneur should do if the person is in the valley trying to get to the mountain top, knowing that the people within the person's network is already on the mountain top? Yes. Yes, you said that there are phases where sometimes you go low and you go high, but it can be bothersome if you have people around you that are making it and then you're down there. Of course, you have to go up, but then at the end of the day, I don't feel like it. I feel like I want to, end everything. But what would you say are the steps I should take towards recovery if I'm in that situation?
Okay. Let me just give you this parable. It's a favorite parable of mine. I call it the parable of the snail. A particular snail was crawling on the ground one day, going to visit his friend. And then he was staying at the edge of the road so that he makes sure nobody will match him. But no matter how much he tried, he was almost at his destination when somebody mistakenly matched him and he would into his shell. And when he would into his shell, he became angry. And he said, somebody matched me. I mean, why should somebody match me? Why should somebody match me? And then he decided he was not going to come out of his shell anymore because he feels if he comes out, somebody will match him again. He was very angry. Why would the guy have matched him? So 2 hours later, this snail was still there at that point. But the people who matched him, the person who matched him has gone ahead, has gone to his destination. The people who were behind him have gone, beyond him now. So for me, when you are discouraged, the first thing you must do, the very first thing you must do is to understand that even those who are at the mountaintop have had the similar experiences like yours at one time or the other. Yes. And that if they had given up, they wouldn't be where they are today. So if you take it in isolation and say, I'm the only one suffering, you are going to be discouraged. The truth of the matter is that in the journey to the mountaintop, you will fall. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong. As I said before, failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. That's what I believe. So you must understand that even those you are looking up to have passed through the stage. So you must see this now as a stage of the business. You're going to come back. That's number one. Number two, to be able to bounce back, you need to look at yourself. I believe when you watch little children, you see a toddler. Each time a toddler falls down with his hands on the ground, as the toddler stands up, that little child, the first thing he will do is to turn his palms and look at the palms and observe it. So I draw something from there. And that's the fact that each time you make a mistake, you fall. When you rise, look at you. What lesson are you standing with? So you need to look at, why did I go down in the first place? Why did I go down? Why? I walk around with a stick. And sometimes, if I'm not careful, if that stick, matches a slippery surface or something that's slippery, I would fall. So because of that reason, what I usually do is, as I'm walking on the road with you, we are talking, we are gisting, I'm actually watching, my eyes are open for anything that could slip me to fall. So if you fall, the first thing is analyze why you are in this valley situation right now. What did you do? What role did you play? There's a problem people always have, especially businessmen. When they have a problem with their business, they turn around and they blame the government, they blame financial policies, they blame the world economy, they blame all kinds of things, but they don't blame themselves. That's a problem, because everybody plays a role in what happens to him. So what did you do? Did you trust people too much? Did you overinvest? Did you invest without proper analysis? Did you not do feasibility? Were you greedy? What did you do? What did you do? Did you want to cut corners? You need to find that out so that you don't repeat that mistake. Number three, when you are down, you don't think everybody is against you. No. You don't think that. You don't do that. Because the man who is in, no matter how strong you are, once you are inside a hole, it takes somebody on the normal surface to explain to you what's happening around. Because now you've made a mistake, you're down. But there are people who are up, so they could see, very well on the economic horizon to be able to advise you. So that is not the time to withdraw. No, that's because once you isolate, you lose touch. Business is a chain, and it keeps changing with time. So once you fall down, you make a mistake, you need to keep monitoring the trends. And the way to do that is to be in contact with friends, is to keep watching, okay? Keep checking what exactly is happening in the horizon. What new opportunities are there? What new information is there? What new products are there? What new services are there? And then the final thing you need to do, for me, I talked about the rubble before. You see, you can invest ₦1 million. You can invest $1 million into a business, and then you lose, okay? Now, if you want to come back, for me, the best thing to do is to reinvest, even if it means starting small. See, my sister, everything on earth starts from down and grows up, starts from little and grows up. The only thing in life that starts from up, down is a grave. When they want to dig a grave, they start from the up, then they go down, down, down. Every other thing starts from down, up. So even if you have been there, you had a huge investment, a sprawling business, things were working well, and then you've made mistakes. There is nothing wrong in starting small. There's nothing wrong. Because when you start small, the implication is you might not be where you want to be, but you are no longer where you used to be. Let me say this to you and to everybody who is listening out there. I've made the investments and I've lost money, millions of naira, yes, several times. Each time I lose, I learn a lesson. The problem with entrepreneurs is we lose an opportunity and we don't learn a lesson. If you don't learn a lesson from what you've lost, it's a double tragedy. So start from small, get more information, and don't isolate yourself. You know why? You know why you must do business? As long as humans are on the surface of the earth, they will need products, they will need services, they will need products, they will need services, and they must patronize somebody. So if you give up, they will buy from the next person. And let me tell you my goal. My goal is this. Nobody will patronize somebody when he should have patronized me. So I would always bounce back and be at my duty post. So that's what you need to do. Keep hitting it. Encourage yourself. Don't isolate. Look for why you made mistakes. Start small if it is necessary. Diversify if you must do. Monitor the trends, but remember, as long as man is on the earth, business must go on. And where you fail, others have been there before. When you look up at the mountain, ask them where they're coming from. You are not the first. You shouldn't be the last. That's my policy.
Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Very, 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 very insightful, inspiring. So speaking on starting small, Rukayat, the main role has asked, you know, what if you don't even have anything to start with in terms of funds? Where do I start from?
Okay, fine. You don't have funds to start. I mentioned it before.
But you have your business idea.
Fine. Fine. I mentioned it before. I started in two ways. That's how I started. Number one, I did free services. Why do I do free services? Why did I do free services? The greatest advertisement you have for your business is somebody who has come in contact with you. I told you about a pastor that I helped to work on his book. And when I helped to work on his book, he was able to introduce me to some other people. You understand? That's number one. That's what you can do. You can offer free services. Yes. You can offer free advice and just be there. Number one. Number two, you can do errand business. I've said that before. Errand business. You know, when you go to a typical Igbo man, go to his shop, anything you ask him, you just see some books there. And you come and say, sir, I'm looking for where to buy plastic cups, disposable. He will tell you I have it. He will just walk away and get it and give it to you. You can start with errand business. Then you can also start with subletting. You understand? Like there is somebody who is already doing that business, is in that business and is a friend, is a colleague. You can actually attach yourself. The problem I have with entrepreneurs, especially the young ones, those who are starting, I have one problem with them. They don't want to understudy anybody. They don't want to be mentored by anybody. They want to start today. They want to make it today. Let me say this. Every leader must first of all be a follower. Every good businessman must first of all patronize somebody else. There's nothing wrong in saying, okay, this is what I want to do. You know, like I tell my students every time and youth that I speak to, this is what I want to do, but I can't do it now. I can't start it. So you can attach yourself to somebody and start. You want to open a laundry shop to make some money out of laundry. Of course, there's money in laundry. You want to make money from that. You don't have somewhere to rent. You don't have the money to rent. You don't have money to buy machines, buy detergents, and what have you. You can go and attach yourself to somebody and say, let me work with you for some time. And you know, often about working with people. When you work and you put in your best, you begin to build your client base. So that when you pull out, the people already know what you can do. So there's nothing wrong in one, doing errand business, two, offering free services, and three, attaching yourself to people so you can work with them no matter what comes in. You know, the period of apprenticeship, the period of partnership, you are not building wealth, you're building contacts. When you do partnership, when you do apprenticeship, your first concern should not be to build wealth, but to build contacts. Because when you move, it's just like when I started a school, there was a time I started a school for somebody. And I told the lady, she had a property somewhere, you know, and it was in a new developing area. And I told her, we shouldn't start the school there. Let's start the school from where people know us, where people know me. Let's start from there. So we started there. So her contact and my contact. And then when we had stood, the school had stood, we could now move to the developing area. And the people who had tested the quality of our offerings followed us to that new area. So when you do partnership, you don't have anything to start with. You attach yourself to somebody, or you do errand business, or you do apprenticeship. What happens is that while you're there, you're building contacts, you're building clients, so that when you eventually leave, when you get the money and you leave, then they will follow you. Because even if you have the money and nobody knows you, you're going to find it harder to start. So to every entrepreneur there, outside there, youth, adults, it doesn't matter how much you've been in this business or how old you are. If you need to do partnership for some time, build your contact base, then you can leave. So money is not a problem. Not having the money to start is not a problem. The problem is not having the right mindset. Some youth I've talked to will tell you, how can I go and serve? How can I go and do this? How can I go and do that? So you come out of school, you're an engineer, and you've been taught theories upon theories upon theories, no practical thing from school. And then you come out, you want to set up a modern day mechanic workshop. And then you see a mechanic who is an illiterate, didn't go to school, and you feel too big to go and learn under him. You're wasting your time. Experience is not taught in the classroom. Experience is taught outside the classroom. So no matter who you are, if you want to start, subsume yourself under somebody who's been there. Do partnership, do apprenticeship, forget your pride. It is not about your certificate. Nobody pays for certificate now. No. Permit me to use this word. People pay for certificate. What do you sabi? What do you know? Is certificate, not certificate. And certificate is got from experience. So you don't have money, partner, do apprentice, do errand business, and then build your contacts, and then you're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Kasarachi. This is very amazing. For those of you that are just joining us, my name is Nsukka. I'm the head of marketing and corporate communications at the Tony Elumelu Foundation. I'm excited for this impact series. This is the first of many to come. This impact series features unique changemakers in different fields. If you want to find out more about Kasarachi Innocent, find him on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, search StandingTall with Kasarachi, and please do connect with him. Okay, so Kasarachi, I'm going to ask you, do you have mentors?
Yeah, sure, definitely, I do.
Okay, great, because we received a question from, his name? Terence Manachi. I hope I pronounced that properly. Okay. And he was asking, how do you build your relationship with these people? You don't want to do business with them, but you want to learn from them. So give us an example, tell us a story about how you met your mentors and how they've been able to impact your life positively as an entrepreneur.
Okay, if you want to find mentors and then have a relationship with them, it's very, very simple. For me, the key to doing well in life is sincerity and knowing what you want, okay? Know what you want. I have a crop of young people who don't want to learn, they don't want relationships, but they want to get knowledge. You can't do without relationship. The key to everything in life is relationship and nothing more. If you don't have a relationship, how do you survive? Of course, when you wake up in the morning, you have neighbors, you greet them, that's relationship, is it not? You just walk out of your house, you want to buy stuff, beverages for morning tea, you buy from people, you enter a taxi, you have a driver who will drive you, you have a security guard, you have a house head. I mean, mentor, you go to shop, you have someone who attends to you. These are relationships. So the first thing in life is relationship. The key is relationship. Now, how did I choose my mentors and how did I relate with them? First of all, you can't choose a mentor until you know what you want out of life, until you know who you are. That's the first thing. If you don't do that, you're going to choose the wrong mentors. So I knew I wanted people who were thinking like me. I studied their stories. I don't ever get close to a mentor until I have studied his background. That's me. You study who this person is. Where did he start from? Do you share similar experiences? Do you share similar philosophies, outlook on life? For me, I believe that any person who does not share your vision does not qualify for your association. It's a very simple thing. So you will need to look at them. Where is this person coming from? What has he done? What does he believe about life? What are his experiences? What has he achieved? If you do that, then you'll be able now to choose the right mentors. Let me start from the very beginning. My first mentor in life, I don't know if I'll call him, that was my dad, who told me stories about being honest and working hard. Then from there, I went to secondary school, and because I went to primary school in a village, where they taught us in Igbo. I'm an Igbo man. And so I went to secondary school, a very federal government secondary school, and then I couldn't speak English. And then you found, senior students in the evening when they want to relax and laugh, they will come here and say, yeah, come and tell us what you did today. And I will start speaking terrible grammar and they will laugh. There was this lady, I didn't know then she was a pastor's wife, but she was my English teacher, Mrs. Amadi I hope she's listening to me right now because I'll keep talking about her wherever I go to. So she called me one day and said to me, I know you are not happy. I know you're sad. I know you don't have a friend. And this was me coming from a background, my family where everybody cared for me. And suddenly I was in a boarding house, no friend, nothing. And I said, yes. And she said to me, I know your problem is English language. I'm going to give you novels to read and give you extra assignments. Would you do them? And I said, yes. And she said, if you pass, I'm going to be very happy. If you fail, I'm going to be angry. So anytime I go to the library to read and I feel sleepy and I want to sleep, and I'll remember Mrs. Amadi, I will stand up and read because I want to make her happy. Then she told me her own story and said, I went through the same thing, but this is where I am. Now, from there, I moved again to University of Nigeria, Nsukka. And I met another lady. I don't know why God keeps sending the ladies my way. I met another lady, Dr. Mrs. E.D. Togochi Ohaja, a wonderful lecturer, a teacher with a human face. So when I lost my dad, she said to me, you're not going to drop out of school. I'm going to be cooking for you and bringing food for you so you can eat. All you need to do is work hard for me. And you know what? What she kept doing for me was, each time I failed her course, she would shout at me, she would scream at me, she would rake at me, but I knew she was doing it for good. Then from there, I left school. And when I came to University of Port Harcourt, I met a man, Professor Ozome Kurindimele, who is a vice chancellor now, who called me and said, the first day I came, I didn't know him. You know, I came to the office to look for a job. And then the receptionist, the secretary, walked me out of the office. And he heard it and said, come inside, come inside. Then I came inside and he asked me, and he said, if you're ready to work, I'm going to help you. He told me his own story too. So because I knew, it's not just these three people. There were other people too that could have been my mentors. But I knew who I am. I know where I'm coming from. And I know that these people do not believe in my philosophies. They don't share the same background with me. So I couldn't choose them. So the right thing is this. If you want a mentor, look first of all for relationship, not for mentorship. Build a relationship with these people. Learn from them. If you come in to me and you just walk up to me and say, I want to learn business from you, and then it's all business, you come, you ask me, what's this, what's that, what's that? You don't think about helping me grow my own business. Because if you help me grow my business, your own will also grow. So you don't want to help me grow my business. All you care for is to get the knowledge of how to start your own, then you're not going to do well. Because when you even show interest and commitment to building my own, I'm going to now show you the secrets of the business. But if you don't care about building my own for me, you don't care whether my own is going well or not. Like somebody comes to you and you'll say, oh, I just lost an investment. And the person says, oh, sorry. So you are supposed to teach me something today. Can we proceed with it? That person doesn't like you. He doesn't like your business. He should be able to empathize with you so you can open up. So if you come for just mentorship, you're going to have a problem. But if you come for relationship and mentorship, the person will discover that you are really committed in seeing him do well. He will now open up because every business has a secret. He will open up. So mentorship is not enough. A mentorship relationship setting is the best thing. Show commitment, show empathy, then the person can bring you in and give you the secrets to be able to stand on your own. That's what it is for me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Speaking to your lifelong occupation as a teacher, for a while.
Yeah.
Do you think, in your opinion, that resilience can be taught? Do you think it's in what can be taught?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes and no. Can I explain?
Yes, you can. Please go ahead.
Okay, fine. Now, you can take a horse to the stream, but you cannot force it to drink. That's the truth about life. You can teach somebody to be resilient and say, do this, do that, do that, do that. But at the end of the day, it takes the person to choose to be resilient. Yes, that's the truth about it. Now, you discover that during lectures, the lecturer would always be there. The teacher would always be there, right? But once it's exam time, once it's time for test, the lecturer will not be there, the teacher will not be there. So how do you now learn resilience? Very simple. You learn resilience by learning, looking at people, not by reading books on resilience. It won't work. You're going to have to look at people who have gone through life, you study them. My best books are biographies and autobiographies, histories of great men, okay? Histories of great men. That's what, when you read these things, when you listen to them, when you associate with them, then you're going to learn resilience, okay? Not that you're going to buy a book and sit down and begin to read and say, okay, if you want to be resilient, do this, do that, do that. No, no, no. It's through experience. Number two, you can even be taught resilience from your own experiences. Yes, from your own experiences. You can be taught resilience from your own experiences. You can have an experience and learn from it to bounce back. So you're learning from yourself. Then the next one, it cannot be taught too, because people choose to do what they want to do. If you choose, you don't want to be elastic, you don't want to be resilient, every whiff of trouble, you run away, you know. Let me just share this with you. I have this young lady in my church, you know, who has been my friend for some time. So one time like that, she came to me and said, sir, I want to study medicine and surgery. I said, oh, wonderful. So she wrote JAM, she wrote the university admission exam. And then so when I saw her, I asked her how far. She said she didn't pass. She didn't pass. That in fact, she doesn't want to do medicine anymore. The next time, said she wants to study engineering. She failed, and then she left again. See, the truth is this. If you have this mentality of, if I make a mistake once, I run away, you can't learn resilience. You can only learn resilience, number one, from people who have gone ahead of you. Number two, from your own personal experiences. They don't go to the classroom to teach resilience. You can read all the books and know all the theories about resilience, but when you come face to face with stress, if you choose not to stand, you've learned nothing. So the key to learning resilience is observe people, learn from their stories. How did they overcome it? And then from your own, from yourself, what have you gone through? What have you learned? So resilience can or cannot be taught, but it is in the man or the woman to choose to be resilient. It's a thing of the mind. So to answer you, can it be taught? Yes. In the classroom? No. In the textbook? No. Where? In people's lives. Can it be taught? Yes. From where? From your own personal life. Can it be taught? No. It cannot be taught to a man who has chosen that every little trouble, he's going to drop his business and he's going to walk away. Every big business has had setbacks. That's one thing that must ring in your mind at every time. Strategies are different, but our goals are the same. Okay, I want to be a top grade business guy in Africa in the next 10 years. Okay, I want to go through publishing. Okay, I want to go through shipping. I want to go through the telecom sector. And then you try it this way and it doesn't work. All you need to do is to adjust the strategy and not to change the goal. Strategies can vary with time, with circumstances, but the goals must remain the same. That's just one simple way of learning resilience and moving on. If you expect not to have shortcomings, not to have experience failures, you'll be living in a dreamland. But you must learn resilience, first of all, from those who are ahead of you. Secondly, from yourself. I think that's answer yes and no, depending on which angle you're coming from.
Thank you so much. I really love the way that you have explained it, and it makes so much sense. Even the toddler should be able to understand. Yeah, there's certain things that you read and you understand from the book, but at the end of the day, you only have to do life to really know that when you come face to face with whatever it is, you will not be able to get the main lesson from it. Yes. I wanted to speak to failure. There's this quote that goes around on social media that says, don't really rely on what people say. A lot of people post their successes, they don't post their failures, they don't talk much about failures. And people do talk about their failures, but maybe not as much as people would want to hear. You have spoken during the course of our conversation about the failures you've encountered over time. And you've mentioned over and over the lessons I learned, my lessons, but you never really touched on the lessons that you took away from failures that you've encountered during your lifetime so far. So do you want to share at least maybe like 3 life lessons that you have learned from the times that you got deep into the valley?
Okay. Let me start from, I'm going to take it from different angles now. I'll take it from the financial angle first. Failure from the financial angle. You do investments. I've done investments and they have failed. Yeah, severally. I mean, millions of naira. Now, what lesson did I learn? First of all, let me even say this to you. I don't believe there's anything like failure. There's nothing like that. No, there's nothing like that. For me, what you call failure is a pause. Now, you need to choose to continue or not. There's nothing like failure. If you define yourself as a failure, you have a problem. You know why? Even the person you call a failure is better than somebody. Because I believe that all of us are in the middle. In the issues of life, we're all in the middle. How? If you are tall, there's somebody you're taller than, there's somebody taller than you. If you are rich, there's somebody you're richer than, there's somebody richer than you. So if you look at yourself and say, I have failed, you need to also take a look at the back and discover that there are people behind you. So there's no failure. That's what's happening. Now, in terms of the financial, what you call failures in quotes that I have had, what were my lessons? Number one, I trusted easily. That's number one. I trusted easily. I discovered that the first time I lost 2 million in a business was because somebody I saw as a friend and a brother came to me and talked and talked. So because of him, I didn't take time to do due diligence. I didn't check. I didn't do background check. I just invested and that was it. The money went. Two, the second lesson is I didn't listen to advice. I remember one day somebody came to my house. That one was a little money, about 760K. So he came to my house and he was to publish a book, print a book for me somewhere in Lagos. And then because I've been working with him, so he said, I was about to go to Lagos. I was about to book my flight. And he said, why do you want to bother? Let me book the flight for you. Let me book the flight for you. And then as we were talking, I said, okay, how much will it cost the printing? He said, okay, everything is 600,000. His workmanship is 180,000. I said, okay, fine, I'm going to pay. So my wife just signaled me and said, come, I want to show you something. And I walked into the room and she said to me, don't give that business to that guy. Don't give it to him. And I said, okay. So I dismissed the guy. And then later in the day, I asked my wife why. She told me her reasons. And I said, okay, I've heard what you said. Then I called the guy at the back and still gave him the business. I didn't let my wife know. And the guy went away with that money. And that was it. So in financial investments and business, you need to listen to wise counsel. You don't know it all. You need to listen to counsel and you don't need to trust too much. Number three, the other lesson I learned from my failures financially is there's no need to be in a hurry. If somebody is doing a business with you and he says to you, do this now. You need to invest now. If you are in a hurry, you will crash. I have made investments because I calculated. If I do this investment, I'm going to be getting 10% returns. I want to raise 10 million in the next 2-3 months. So I'm going to get that. I'm in a hurry. And so I call the person and say, oh yeah, do it immediately. I won't even start a little. I say, okay, 10 million. Let me start with 500,000. Let me see how it goes. I'll just pump in the money. If you want to do business and do well, one lesson you must learn from failure is don't be in a hurry. Relax, take your time. Things you give time will pan well. That's on the financial aspect. I've also had failures in relationships. Funny enough, I'm sure that will sound funny, but I've had several heartbreaks, several of them. You know the problem I had? What did I learn from that? I was desperate. You must learn from failure that you shouldn't be desperate. You shouldn't be desperate over anybody. Want to marry this person? It must be this person or you will die. Don't be desperate. What is yours must be yours. And there's something I believe in life. If anybody does not see your value, let him go. The person who sees your value is coming. That's what I believe. You know, you can have this handset in your shop, and for 1 year, this handset will be there. People will come and say, oh, is it the black you have? I don't want black. I don't want black. And they will drop it. And the thing will be gathering dust. And then suddenly one day, somebody just comes and says, do you have this phone? And you say, yes. Do you have black? You say, oh, I've been looking for this black. I've been looking for black. Oh my God. Can I have it? That's what I believe in life. You can apply for jobs and they won't take you over and over and over. But the person, you consider yourself to have failed. But the person who wants exactly your specification is coming. So in relationship, I remember the first time my heart was broken. I went crying and I told myself, I'll never talk to any lady anymore. I'll never trust anybody anymore. I'll never get into any relationship anymore. But that's nonsense, because I still got somebody who is the most perfect, if there's anything like that. So one lesson you must learn from failure is don't be desperate. Then the last example I will give is failure in job hunting. And let me share this experience with you. In the process of my looking for a job, there was a time I went for an interview, wrote a test in a privately owned organization in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. And then something funny happened. They kept asking me to come for different tests. I kept going over 6 months. They kept sending for me every month. I would go there. And then finally they told me, you're going to meet the MD. And that's the last. And you know what I did? I didn't have clothes then. I had to go and borrow money to sew clothes, buy tie, buy shoes, and told the people, in 3 months' time, I'm going to pay back. And then the day came, and I went to meet the MD, laughing, smiling. Oh, finally, I'm going to have a job. And then the man came, brought out the result of my test. I said, you must be very intelligent. How you must be, you passed this. He now asked me, do you know why we were giving you all the tests? I said, no. He said, we didn't know how to tell you were physically challenged. We didn't know how to tell you to go. So we were hoping you were going to fail any of the tests, but you didn't fail. And so we don't know what to do now. So I just called you to tell you, we can't take you. I was almost killed that I was almost run over by a car. I came out to the junction right there in Port Harcourt, and I was standing in the middle of the road and I didn't know where I was. And then cars were honking at me. It took somebody to come and drag me out of the road. I said, what's wrong with you? Now, what lesson did I learn from that? You cannot force somebody to see value in you. But each time you get rejected in an interview, in a business contract you bid for and you fail, find out why what they said disqualified you. What did they say? You tried to do this business, you failed, they rejected you. Take a lesson, go back, and then find out why did they reject you. Work on that and launch out one more time. Well, you asked me to talk about failure. I've talked about it, lessons of failure. I don't believe there's anything like failure. I just believe that maybe you're on the wrong road, you need to find the right road, or there's a pause, you need to press play, and life goes on. For me, failure is not the opposite of success. Nobody has failed. The only man who has failed is the man who is dead. As long as you are alive, you have not failed. And you cannot succeed. No man succeeds until he has been granted the right to fail. So failure, part of it. Bounce back, succeed. That's it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Kasarachi. We're going to be rounding up now. It's been very insightful and impactful as well, which is, the core of the series. I'm very, very, on behalf of the foundation, appreciative of your presence here. Before we go, there are a lot of entrepreneurs watching. A lot of people have questions. Some have written, some haven't. But I would just say you should speak to every entrepreneur watching right now, both those that know where they are going and those that are trying to figure out what the next steps would be. From your heart, what would you want to say in terms of advice, anything that you would like to say to them? Please take the floor. Thank you.
Well, I want to speak to every young person, every entrepreneur listening to me out there in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. What do I have to say to you? I just want to say just one thing. Don't give up. I just want to say one thing. Don't give up. Keep plugging away. Keep fighting. Keep reinvesting. Keep checking your mistakes. Keep learning. Keep coming back. Put at the back of your mind that people must find people to do business with. People must buy products and services. Why not from you? Keep it at the back of your mind that if others can do it, you can do it. Keep it at the back of your mind that it is not a crime to start small. It is not a crime to start small. Keep it at the back of your mind that you might not be where you want to be, but if you look back, you are no longer where you used to be. In the next 10 years, there's going to be a list of entrepreneurs who have done well. If you keep going, your name will be on that list. If you give up, you'll be forgotten. History, world history, is the story of those who refuse to give up. History is nothing but the story of those who refuse to give up. If you give up, you won't be part of history. But if you continue, no matter how little, no matter how small, one day you will discover that your name is part of history. If those at the top could tell you their stories, you will discover you are not alone. Just keep going. Don't give up. You will surely excel. And I'll see you at the top very, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you so much. Okay, so before I let you go, I want you with your own mouth to tell people how to connect with you.
Okay. Well, if you want to connect with me, just like my sister just said, you could meet me up on Facebook. My Facebook page is Standing Tall with Kasarachi. Standing Tall with Kasarachi. Kasarachi is Kasarachi. Standing Tall with Kasarachi. You can check me out my website, kasarachiinnocent.com. You could drop a message there. We could connect, kasarachiinnocent.com. You could meet me on Instagram, Standing Tall with Kasarachi. Instagram, Standing Tall with Kasarachi. You could meet me up on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Standing Tall 468. Standing Tall 468. I'm also on LinkedIn, Kasarachi Innocent. And then if you are somewhere around Port Harcourt or thereabout, you could listen to me on radio, Family Love FM 97.7 every Wednesday morning, 8:15 a.m. I was actually on air this morning for the program Standing Tall. My books are available there. You could send me messages and then we could connect from there. I'm very much willing and ready to be a source of help, mentorship to young people and encouragement. We could talk. We could talk. I'm always available. The reason I live, the reason I exist is to be an influence on people, to hold people by the hand and show them where they can go. So I'll be waiting for you to connect with me and you won't regret you did. I'm hoping to see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kasarachi. Like I said before, this has been a very insightful and impactful session, also very informative and educative. Thank you very much and see you at the top.
See you at the very top, yeah?
See you at the top.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Right, bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
So hi everyone, and thank you so much for watching. This brings us to the end of our Impact Series for today. To connect with entrepreneurs all over Africa, network, exchange details, business ideas. You never really know who's going to, go to the top with you. So join our digital networking platform for African entrepreneurs, tfconnect.com, for networking opportunities, business opportunities, and just opportunities to go as an entrepreneur yourself. Thank you so much once again for tuning in and have a look.